Hi folks, Marcel here with The Pulse. Today I have a huge update on the NMN story. It was posted yesterday in Natural Products Insider by Josh Long, Associate Editorial Director there. Now the title is FDA Sticking to Its Guns on NMN in Dietary Supplements. Josh goes on to say, and there's a number of great points here, stick with me on this. It involves me, you, and our NMN and the entire supplement industry. Quite a few developments are covered within the scope of this brief article. I'll link it in the description. I highly recommend you look over it, and you should frequent Natural Products Insider. There's great information there. So, Josh says, FDA is holding firm to its position expressed in the fall of 2022 that a healthy aging ingredient, NMN, cannot be lawfully marketed in dietary supplement products. Make no mistake, that's what they're saying. He really boils it down well there. In letters that were made public in late March on the government docket, FDA reiterated its view that beta-NMN is excluded from the definition of a dietary supplement. They're really doubling down. They're entrenching themselves in their position. And the supplement industry is becoming more entrenched as well. So we're really reaching a crescendo here in this battle that is going to lead to some type of third party or government or judge deciding this. Neither one is giving an inch yet. FDA made the January 2023 pronouncement in response to a new dietary ingredient, NDIN, filed by Epipharm Limited, whose CEO, Queen Shen, listed as address in Shanghai, China. As I've said, there's fakes that come from Shanghai. There's also, this is the best NMN on the market, agreed to by many. So this is a huge development here, that Epipharm is now, weighing in, filing their own NDIN, claiming that they essentially filed before, that they've come to market much sooner, which a lot of us have been saying the whole time. So now it's really getting official. The agency reached the same conclusion in a January response to an NDIN. This is what you issue. A natural ingredient notification is what the supplement industry uses as an apparatus to file this race to market for a right to sell a supplement in the U.S. This has implications beyond the U.S. borders, which we'll get to in a minute as well. So those of you tuning out because, you say you're in Europe, well, think twice about that, and I'll tell you why in just a sec. Now, these pre-market notifications are filed with FDA to demonstrate the safety of an ingredient in dietary supplements based on a requirement in DSHEA law, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994. Syncozymes previously secured a so-called acknowledgement letter from FDA in May of 2022 in response to a new dietary ingredient notification for NMN. However, the letter was issued before FDA concluded that a clinical stage pharma company was researching the ingredient as a new drug, consequently barring its use in supplements. So they retroactively went back, even though they acknowledged receipt of this letter from Syncozymes. They went back and said, no, this is going to be a drug. They sided with the drug companies on this, which they've done every time. In every case, they've never once, since 1994, almost 30 years, they've never once, according to Dan Fabricant, sided with a supplement over a drug. And stop and think about that. Congress set up this DSHEA law to protect the interests of both supplements and on behalf of consumers, the public, you. And Congress acted on behalf of you, and FDA has refused to follow congressional guidelines on this. FDA made its first drug exclusion determination on an October 22, 2022 letter issued to a company called Inner Mongolia Kingdom Way Pharmaceutical Limited. It's a supplement company. I know it says pharmaceuticals there, but they sell NMN as a supplement. And a supplemental letter the following month to Syncozymes. So those were the first two companies. But now Epipharm is weighed in. That's the NMN. If you take Do Not Age or Pro Health Longevity, you're taking Epipharm. So don't think this doesn't affect you. Now, FDA and EMA, which is the European equivalent, have an agreed to global alignment position. So what the FDA does, EMA will do as well. So don't think you're excluded from this action because you live in Europe. You won't be. Eventually, it'll catch up with Europe as well. Citing clinical trials of MIB 626 being developed by Metro International Biotech, FDA has concluded NMN was authorized for investigation as a new drug and the subject of substantial clinical trials that have been instituted and made public. Don't know about that. The clinical trials haven't really been made public, Josh, totally. They've kept a lot of it under wraps and only submitted it to FDA. So we don't know the extent of a lot of these. We know that David Sinclair has made public basically hit the availability. He's the paradox here. People that say I'm being negative towards David, you're missing the point, because this is the point right here. David Sinclair is the one that vocally made NMN available as a supplement worldwide. Like a million people taking NMN because of David Sinclair. Now, through Metro Biotech, which he has interest in, which he represents as a scientific officer, he has a significant financial interest in Metro Biotech, and he is the face of NMN. You know, we can never remove that. I can't remove that. They can't remove that. He's the representing voice of NMN as a supplement. He's told us how to take it. He's told us how to test it. He's told us what color it should be. He's told us its efficacy, what its effects are, about how much we should take based on what he takes. He published it in his book. He talks about giving it to his dad on multiple occasions. Well, you can't have it both ways. I know he's a hero of mine. I take NMN because of David Sinclair. But we're sitting here in a fight with two sides entrenched. And I've chosen the NMN side, the public side and the supplement side, because I believe it should be widely available. And unfortunately, that puts me in an opposing side with David Sinclair in this NMN fight right now. It's unfortunate. I'm not happy about it. Believe me, I'd much rather be following David, on Twitter and other social media. David, if anyone shows this to you, I'd rather this be different. I really would. I don't gladly, constantly barrage you on this channel because I don't like you or I don't support the things that you've said in the past. It's just that you've taken a critical position here that puts us at odds. And that's the bottom line. So it's not me being negative. In fact, I'm quite positive. I'm quite a positive person. I'm very happy taking NMN and doing my other wellness routine, a lot of it also based on David's advice. But now we're in a fight. And now it's going to go to Congress. It's probably going to go to court. And it's unfortunate, but we got to win right now. We cannot lose this. Okay, based on new information that came to light when we were reviewing another notification, FDA initiated a review of past notification responses for NMN and concluded that NMN is excluded from the definition of a dietary supplement. FDA wrote in the November 4 letter. This means that NMN may not be marketed as or in a dietary supplement. I want to stop for a moment there and say, look, from talking to Dr. Fabricant, all right, at NPA, Natural Products Association, and he's the one that, together with another organization, I'm going to get to that in a second, filed a citizen petition right after appearing on this channel. He went and filed a petition. He had been planning it, but the timing worked out that we spoke, and he went and said, I'm doing this right now. NOR, okay, was also battled for and continues to be fought for. And the company behind NR, Chromadex, is saying that they have that product trademarked and they have exclusivity to sell NR. And 3 times it went to court and a judge said, no, this is a natural occurring molecule in the body, in the food supply. You can't have exclusivity to this. So that was a fundamental fight. And NMN is almost interchangeable with NR. Like you could it doesn't matter which side of the camp you're on. It doesn't matter even if you don't support NAD boosters. One can turn into the other can turn into the other. If you listen to the science, they're pretty much interchangeable. They boost NAD plus in a similar fashion. It comes down to other biometric measurements that Dr. Shi has talked about on this channel, where he says, hey, we side with NMN, but it appears most experts only slightly go one way or the other. They both acknowledge on both sides of the camp that NR and NMN are effective. But many people, prefer NMN. And for me, the tiebreaker is when I talk to companies that sell both, their reorders are significantly higher of NMN. For whatever reason, I believe it's efficacy, but that's from talking to people. I can't prove that. I can only tell you that exists. That fact is real. So, under DSHEA, this law, the pharmaceutical industry, specifically Metro International Biotech, doesn't win the race to market for NMN if the ingredient was first marketed as a supplement before it was authorized for investigation as a new drug. But FDA determined yet again in January that the above exception does not apply to NMN. Now, this is another fascinating point that I've not seen in print yet or on video yet. FDA has carefully reviewed the information provided in your amended notification and other relevant sources, including our own records, and has determined that NMN was not marketed as a dietary supplement except unlawfully without an NDI notification or as a food before FDA authorized it for investigation as a new drug. Now that's fascinating because what's going on here is now they've moved the goalposts. They have previous to this said it's got to exist in the food supply prior to the submission as a new drug. Now they're saying it must be lawfully distributed as a supplement when the laws governing supplements are uneven. They're not in balance the same. They're not equal for drugs and supplements. So supplements have an unfair disadvantage. But yet they're applying the law even though they don't apply the law that Congress stated. They never side with supplement companies. How can FDA be surprised when the playing field isn't equal? There's no fair race here. There's no fair race to market because they've never once sided with the supplements. They always side with drug companies, and that's a problem. And that's why we're going to Congress, and that's why we're writing letters. Got a lot more about that coming up as well, okay? Skip ahead slightly here. An Epipharm employee said its NDIN was submitted to FDA for Youthever. Again, that's the NMN I take, most of you take, before FDA changed its position regarding the ingredient. So they're saying, wait a minute, we did submit. Now, the Council for Responsible Nutrition President and CEO, Steve Mister, I believe it's Mister, could be Meister. We're going to clarify that. I hope to talk to Steve because he's getting in the party now. This is another big development. Said FDA has failed to properly apply the race to market provision in DSHEA between supplements and drugs, as we've been saying here. And we've been saying this for 6 months. FDA's latest actions with respect to the treatment of drug preclusion continue to demonstrate the agency's complete misapplication of the drug preclusion principle, Mr. told Natural Products Insider. The FDA's criteria for determining when drug preclusion applies is incorrect. The issue here goes beyond any one ingredient and should concern the entire industry about which ingredient the FDA will target next. Now, this is as aggressive a language I've seen from Steve Meister, Mr., at CRN since the beginning of this. Mostly it's been Dan Fabricant because he really knows the inside. Having been a former official at FDA, he really is comfortable talking about them because he has that. He can always say, hey, I led the supplement programs for 3 years. I know what I'm saying. So when he's critical, he's a little more blunt. This is as much blunt force as I've seen from CRN to date. CBD and NAC are among the ingredients that FDA has concluded are excluded from dietary supplements due to their early approval or investigation as a new drug. NMN isn't the first one to go through this. Looking at the record FDA has developed on drug preclusion for NAC, NMN, and other ingredients, CRN is increasingly troubled that FDA's positions are inconsistent, out of line with congressional intent, and failed to properly balance the equities for both pharmaceutical manufacturers and dietary supplement marketers. He's repeating it in different words here. It's not a level playing field. This isn't a race. It's not a race. If one guy can run and the other guy has to crawl, it's not a race. Mr. added, the efforts to protect drug interests fail to consider the impact on dietary supplement innovation and create an unpredictable, unstable market for supplements. Okay? This is where we're at. You look at the supplement industry, the fakes on Amazon, the inconsistency of product, the inconsistency of marketing. It's caused by this. Why is it unpredictable in an unstable market for supplements? Because they're not treated fairly. So if you're having to crawl in a race and the other team can run, you're going to have to just wing it. So FDA created these problems. Just read between the lines a little bit. CRN plans to file a citizen petition in the next few weeks to raise these broader issues. Steve, file soon. Okay, file before the fly-in day to Congress on June 7th. We need the momentum. We need your help too. I'm going to get to that right now. In March, the Alliance for Natural Health Association, ANH, and Natural Products Association, collectively they represent over 1 million people and 10,000 companies, 10,000 entities, I should say, asked in a citizen petition, that FDA reverse its position on NMN. Alternatively, NPA and ANH requested FDA find NMN is lawful in supplements by promulgating a regulation following notice and comment through the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Now, first we're fighting FDA, then we're lobbying Congress. Now we're getting HHS, another government entity involved. It's getting deeper by the minute, folks. Through a grassroots effort, now here's where you come into play. Through a grassroots effort led by NPA, about 2,000 letters. Congratulations to those of you that went up to NPA. I'm going to put that link below again, and wrote, because those got forwarded. And that number is 2,000. We need 2,000 more. We need 20,000. By the way, we just hit 20,000 subscribers. So let's get 20,000 letters. And thank you for that. By the way, subscribe if you haven't already. Regarding NMN, have been delivered to Capitol Hill. So your letters, those of you that wrote, they were delivered to Capitol Hill, said Kyle Turk, the association's director of government affairs. The campaign includes a standard message. Yes, there's a standard message about NMN. I know at first, when he first posted that wasn't up. It is now. And the option to include a personal story. And these stories, one of these stories is quoted here at the end of this article. So this is a real thing, guys. I know that a lot of times we get apathetic, and I'm going to talk about apathy next. But we get in this state of, well, I can't really change anything. I'm powerless to change anything. Look, in this situation, and situations such as this, public outcry is key. I'm reminded of an audio company. I used to work in that field for over 20 years, a company called Waves. And they've been on the market for over 20 years, one of the first big plug-in companies. And the way it worked is you would buy the plugins either individually or as a bundle. And then they would have these upgrades. They called them WUPs or something, Waves Upgrade Plan. And you would pay periodically for key updates that you needed to update your operating system, and you'd have to buy the upgrade, And people were okay for the most part. A lot of people didn't like the upgrades because they got pretty pricey over the years. Collectively, you'd have thousands invested commonly in their plugins. Couple weeks ago, they had a huge news, email that went out, and they were basically firing all their customers. They said, okay, if you want to continue to get updates now, you have to subscribe. We have a new subscription plan. It's this much a month. They had 2 tiers. And basically, their customers went, what? I've been paying you. I've paid you thousands of dollars, and now I'm on an equal level with brand new customers. I have to subscribe. So everything I invested is gone. And the outcry, the public outcry, was so big, they reversed their position just a couple days later. Okay? Public outcry matters, especially in this day and age when we have social media. We can get it out there. We have a way. This is your format. Okay? This is your place to comment, to write letters, to click on links, and your information is making it to Capitol Hill. You're having a difference. Okay. Unfortunately, there's some apathy out there, or a view from companies. And again, I don't like to only talk about companies. The trade organizations should really understand that it's consumers. No consumers, no customers, there's no companies. Okay, so look at Netflix and many others. If you upset your consumers, you got no companies. But let's follow his train of thought here. That aren't in the business of NMN. So if you're not taking, my argument is, well, if you're not taking NMN, you're taking NR, you should have an interest here. If you're taking niacin, you should have an interest here. If you're taking Physin, you should have an interest here. But they're saying companies that aren't in the business of NMN view this as someone else's problem. NPA president and CEO, my man crush, Dan Fabricant, said in an email, this recent filing by FDA is a wake-up call. This isn't just about NMN. I said it 6 months ago, guys. And it was in response to something he was saying, right? It just was obvious. They've done this 2-3 times. They're going to do it again. It's not going to stop at NMN. This is FDA undoing the NDI process, removing an acknowledgement letter 6 months after the fact, not because of adulteration or misbranding per the statute. Fabricant, who oversaw FDA's Division of Dietary Supplements programs from 2011 to 2014, has been critical of the agency's implementation and enforcement of the NDI review process. Now, that's putting it lightly. But yes, he's been very upset that they just haven't followed the rule of law here. New ingredients are the lifeblood of the industry. Now, we're in an era where there are great new natural ingredients, and now they're taking them away. And without a clear process with stabilization around the rules to bring new products to market, that's not the future that anyone should be accepting of right now. He said, pointing to FDA inaction on regulating CBD, for example, all the talks about DSHEA modernization, they want to change the intent of Congress, by the talking heads need to be put away. This is the biggest issue the industry faces and will be until these drug preclusion issues are resolved satisfactorily. NMN is a battle that cannot be lost. You can't lose this. This is a non-starter. It's now. The fight is here. I was told by a prominent doctor and scientific researcher, well, why are you going to go to Congress? Aren't you just going to put more light on this topic? So, in other words, they were saying, hey, let's fly under the radar because we don't want all the attention. And I'm saying, no attention, no solution. Essentially, if you don't take a stand, you will get stepped on. That's what's going on. You got to take a stand. Over a handful of commenters have written to FDA in response to ANH-NPA citizen petition. In large part, they requested FDA keep NMN available as a dietary supplement. These comments were incorporated in a docket that FDA opened at regulations.gov in response to the citizen petition. I don't even trust people who are pro-drug on this topic. You have to look at the intent of these posts. Now, in large part, here in the comment section of these videos and at the government website, in large part, people are supportive of NMN. But there's this audience that's saying, well, David Sinclair should be able to do whatever he wants. He has a right to make money. And I question the agenda of some of those people. It doesn't wash. It doesn't jive with this niche, which is a supplement niche, right? It doesn't make much sense. So I believe that there are people coming up here and going up there that have an alternate agenda. But we'll see how that plays out. If NMN is classified as a pharmaceutical drug, it will become increasingly difficult for consumers to access. Be clear, because some people think it's going to be an over-the-counter, very short order. It's going to be cheaper. Trevor Collins wrote to FDA, and he's saying the opposite here, right? In this consumer comment, he sees the handwriting, and Josh was wise to post this because I believe it very strongly. The supplement would become more expensive and would require a prescription from a doctor. This could prevent many people from being able to use NMN to improve their health. That's what my ability to recover from jet lag, my ability to keep off the excess weight, my ability to erase brain fog, my ability to reverse my allergies and my inflammation and my anxiety and et cetera, right? I have a resting heart rate of 50. I'm super healthy because of NMN. And what he's saying is others won't be able to enjoy this, nor will I. My first reaction was to go order NMN. When I saw that letter, I just instinctively order NMN. And that's what I shared with you guys. And that's what I did. And I got a little comfortable. I was going to take a little less. I was going into conservation prevention mode. Now I have to order more. It's 6 months. I thought I'd last a year. I probably got another month's supply left. So I kept to my regular dosage because I got a little comfortable. Actually, this reminds me to go out and get it again because, FDA is not backing down. In the most recent public comment available on the docket as of this story's publication date, Terry Lynn proclaimed, "If you guys make NMN only allowed to buy through a prescription, you guys," meaning the FDA, the government, "you guys are going to lose more trust about being in bed with pharmaceutical companies. Not that you guys haven't lost that already. Stop trying to destroy every good thing on the market and capitalizing on everything for pharmaceutical company lobbies. Have some self-respect and morals for once." I don't know. I don't know if they can. They're really entrenched. And they're just going to have to lose a very public legal battle. Congress is going to have to get involved. We're going to have to increase our amplification of such stories and make this point. You can't be passive right now. You can't be apathetic. You can't say, I can't make a difference. What you got to do is go down in the description, click the link, order NMN. By the way, keep taking, don't stop, because that's applying more pressure. Because we can point to the successes of NMN by pointing to the usage of NMN. That speaks to the efficacy and that speaks to the public interest. They're making a consumer choice, and we're siding on behalf of consumers. So by buying in NMN and spreading the message, and even this video and others, the marketing of it, the selling of it, refusing to back down, it's critical because they're not backing down.